Welcome everybody to another patch breakdown, and this time it's for Open Beta 62 for Paladins. Now this will hopefully go live onto the public test server later today, and we'll be trying it out and doing stuff live. And I'll probably be breaking down in other videos some smaller parts of the gameplay and things that have changed I'll talk about in this patch breakdown. But just for now, this is a basic breakdown of everything that's coming this patch that we know so far. Riding the lightning, also the name of this patch, into the biggest change, or at least I feel this patch, is a rework to our blue boy, the Blue Orc Grohk, and loads of people have been asking for this. It's been a hot topic, it's been a very electric topic, and it's finally come. So Grok now looks a little bit more handsome with a bigger jaw, and a bit more buff too, I would say. And honestly, the whole rework looks a lot better. He's got a new totem that sort of hovers and is made of 3 parts. Also, his staff is split up into 3 parts and is floating in the air. All of him looks a lot more of a fantasy-esque sort of magical being. And honestly, I think he looks very Warcraft-esque. He looks like an orc straight out of Warcraft this time round. I like what they've done with this rework, especially with the particle effects. So you see the lightning come out. I don't know what they've done to it, but it looks a lot more brighter, it looks a lot more electric, it looks more realistic, and honestly this is really bringing Grok up to date and in line with a lot of the other quality stuff they have this patch. Now, just rolling on to some of the changes they've made to him as well, not just visually, but to his champion himself. It's not a huge rework, it's just little tweaks here and there, but I'll roll on to the other changes this patch, which I'll give a brief talk about before I roll into those. Anyway, the first thing they've changed is the main attack, the lightning staff. Ammo capacity's gone from 75 to 100, which is nice and will make the staff easy to control between basically bursts of firing, because before you'd sort of get to the 75, wait a little bit for it to recharge, and it'll recharge back up again, and you'll be able to fire again. With this 100, you basically got more uptime of attacking, which is nice. The second thing they've changed is a nerf and buff, but I'd say mainly a buff, so the damage of shock pulse is increasing from 125 to 150, so Maelstrom Groks, get in there, this is going to be good. However, it no longer slows, which is a big part of what made Grok quite good, especially if you're getting the shock pulses off on the whole team, slowing everybody down, doing damage. But that 150 damage, that extra 25 damage on the shock pulse, because it's up so often, is probably going to give you a bit more oomph in the battle. More of the damage healing role that he was, almost like Roxas is sort of the damage tank sort of role, the damage frontliner. Next up, another big buff is to the healing totem's health. So its base health before was 900, so most champions could take it out in 2 shots if they were focusing, but now that's 1,500, which is either around 3, maybe 4 for some champions that have small attacks or automatic weapons and things like that might take more shots, but generally it's just going to be harder to burst down that totem. And along with that, the card monolith totem, which increases the health of your totem, has its bonuses going from 100, 200, 300, and 400 to 250, 500, 750 to 1000. Now, I'm not sure whether this card will actually be a pickup, but you could have your actual totem be 2500 health, which is the health of an ally champion, which would mean that enemy champions, would have to choose between attacking your totem and attacking your enemy players with much more caution. So it's likely your totem will stay up and instead they'll go for you rather than your totem, which could mean that you're able to heal up whilst around your totem as it stays up forever. I think this is a nice addition to Grok, although I still feel as a main healer, he does suffer from the fact that he can't get forwards, he can't heal anybody that's forwards. He's not like Meldamba, Ceres, or Genos, or even Ying, and he's only going to really work with the right team lineup. For example, Buck can heal himself quite well, so he could work out there. Some tanks like Fernando, when they have a shield up, can heal so they can get back to it. And maybe just having 2 frontliners on the point is still quite difficult to heal whilst supporting your allies. But again, your damage has slightly been increased, so you've got that more supporting role and supporting damage alongside extra heals. So definitely in maybe a 2 support lineup. We've seen Grok before in the meta. Maybe we'll see him again. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll see him in that single healer lineup in some games, probably more in casual matches. So before I get on to the other changes, the more general changes to other champions that haven't had a visual rework, I just want to say that, so the Hi-Res devs have been talking about it for a while, that they want to remove or at least pull back some of the mobility of some of the champions in the game, and especially when it involves sort of rolling forwards or diving across enemies, so they find it hard to track in a 360 sort of space. So the first movement speed nerf is to Roxas, with the nether step range going from 35 to 25. So it's like a 30-ish% reduction of the distance of the nether step. Now this is one I don't really get, as for me the Androxus nether step hasn't been the hugest of problems. It gives you some good mobility. It's one of the decent movement abilities in the game, but Androxus is a flanker. He's sort of one of the ones that you kind of want to move with. I think that actually Androxus, before the changes to his weapon, was pretty good in sort of the top tiers of the flankers for everything they did. The reversal, the nether step itself, their poke damage, but they weren't necessarily overpowered or underpowered. And since they increased the DPS, the damage per second, and made the pistol, people were just running into faces. They've lowered the skill ceiling, but also made him more powerful in the hands of people that are good with him. And this nerf seems to be in response to the fact that they buffed the DPS, and I'd prefer getting rid of that DPS and having the maneuverability again. Personally, I just reined the damage in slightly, as Androxus is something that is very fearful this time around. Another one that I don't really understand, I don't get it, is they've changed Willow's flutter. So the distance is reduced by 10%, and the flutter speed is reduced by 25%, so flight speed. This one again, I don't really know. It wasn't exactly the strongest ability in the game. It gave Willow the ability to go up in the air a bit, to dodge a little bit, but not that much. It's not like Willow's one of the most maneuverable characters in the game or anything. It gave you some launching speed, some launching distance, but apart from that, I don't see why they've nerfed this one. I would say that Willow was a strong character, but was she overpowered? No. Was her flight an issue? No, not really either. I know there's a meme that you ban them instantly in the pre-picks, and like Willow and Drogos, I think that newer players struggle a bit to go against. Willow mainly because of their seedlings more than anything, and spamming them on points because people will tend, and tanks will tend to go onto the point and not bully, and won't be separated. And when teams stick together against a Willow, they usually get blown apart. I don't think the flutter flight was an issue at any level of play, really, which confuses me. I don't know whether anyone else is a little bit confused. Maybe people that were struggling against a Willow or found the Willow annoying to play against will be happy about that, but I don't know whether it was really necessary. And finally, so another questionable one here. Ying's okay, but I wouldn't say overpowered, especially not at the best of their abilities. So basically, the dimensional link has a post fire going from 0.1 seconds to 0.5 seconds. So you basically have to wait half a second before you can blink again. So before you used to be able to sort of just spam it, and you sort of guessed and stood at one illusion and killed somebody, and now that won't happen anymore. Honestly, again, I'm not sure about this nerf. The thing was, it was quite effective. You probably stand at one illusion, wait for them to come back, and shoot at them when they get through. They're probably going to be low anyway, so it wasn't that hard to take them out. I think a lot of these changes are to do with game knowledge, so knowing to stand at one illusion and fire on them when they come back, and then look for them when it finishes. I mean, it works most of the time. Like with most of the movement abilities get better as you know the map, as you know where to roll to, where you know to dodge to, where you need to nether step to, and the distances of you to dodging through a corridor or something and becoming invulnerable because there's a corridor in the way. It sort of scales up with skill and knowledge of the game, which I think they're dumbing down slightly this patch. So another big movement nerf is to Drogos, reducing their vertical thrust by 30%. So this is another big one. I never thought that Drogos was that big of an issue because the thrusts kind of made them vulnerable in the air because you kind of stuck up there. If you're going against some of the counters like a sniper or anybody with any hit scan, which you should be doing, you should be counter picking. I know in casual you don't have that opportunity, but even a Shaolin, Cassie, something like that can take out a Drogos, fire into the air. I'm not sure whether I really get this one. It's not like you were completely going into the skybox before. It was just quite good. So they also nerfed the card Thrill of the Hunt when you got a kill. It would reduce the cooldown by 25, 50, 75, 100% of your thrust to 15, 30, 45 or 60. Basically a big nerf to going up into the air as Drogos. A good thing is, like I say, I don't think it was the biggest thing about Drogos. It's more about surfing the map And especially if you're taking worm jets, it's sort of about almost being Quake-like and jumping about and bobbing and weaving. You use your thrust more for momentum and to drop down again and then thrust out again, or to go up and on top of sort of buildings and things. So maybe it won't be the biggest nerf, but I don't see the reason for it that much either. The other slight nerf, I don't know why as well, Eevee isn't that strong this patch, especially in pro level. In my rank matches and my casual matches, she's okay, but they've reduced the flight speed of Soar by 10%. Is Soar that great? I mean, it's hard to hit an Eevee while she's soaring. Now you'll be able to get the skill shots off more often, and part of the reason Eevee's okay is because she can get away. So, folks, I don't get it. Another nerf to mobility, and this one that's actually, I would say, kind of makes sense, is to Roxas, and basically reduce the vertical distance of advance from 30 to 20. And this is basically means that you can't go as far up into the air. Before, you could kind of go into sort of a goblin space program and go right up into the air. I mean, it's still going to happen. You're still going to be able to go up in the air and use it to push yourself forward and things like that. But you're going to not be able to use as much of the drop to give you momentum to go forwards and drop down an arc as much as you could before. So I guess that's quite a big deal. I mean, Roxas probably isn't going to be as strong, and this one was kind of one that was actually kind of annoying. And I guess it doesn't make as much sense on something that is so big as a tank, but we'll just have to see how that one plays out. A lot of people might be angry about that one. And finally, the main actual sort of moving around ability they changed was to Cassie. So now Cassie's incitement has gone from 1, 2, 3, and 4 seconds, basically making your dodge roll 1 second if you get a hit after dodge rolling, which is, this is a card basically when you dodge roll, if you hit somebody straight away, you'll get all of your dodge roll back. If you've got Chronos 1, you're pretty much able to instantly dodge roll and shoot. Like, by the time you've shot, after you've rolled, you'll be able to roll again if you get the hit. Now that's gone to 0.51, 1.5, or 2 seconds. So instead, you're going to have around 3 seconds you're going to be out and stuck, not being able to roll again. And I think this is fundamentally going to change Cassie and her balance completely, and what they've done hasn't really addressed that. Now, I get that Cassie is annoying to play against. In fact, Cassie is probably what dragged me through my ranked placements and early ranked games in Platinum and Gold to take me up to Diamond 1 now at the moment. And my win rate in ranked is like about 70%. And it's slowly going down because of the fact that I'm in Diamond 1, I win like a couple of games, lose one, so I'm slowly grinding up towards Masters, but it's sort of leveling out. But Cassie was one of the things that people found really hard to deal with because they couldn't deal with the dodge rolls, and I get that. Cassie definitely, you're almost infinitely dodge rolling, and you can roll left, right, forwards, back, and through people. I get it, although Cassie is very fun to play, and she's not necessarily the best champion in the game when played to the best of their ability. Now, it does pay me a bit for this Cassie to go, as I enjoyed it so much, and now I'm playing her in ranked. When I play her in casuals, she's not exactly the best thing in the world. She's strong, she's difficult to deal with, yes, but against good players, playing their best on other champions, is she the best champion in the game? She's up there, but probably not, which is sort of my issue kind of here, but I can see where they're going. I think the problem here is that they haven't addressed Cassie's main kit to make up for the fact that this is going to go. Because what they've done is they've changed 2 legendary cards, the other 2 legendary cards. So the first Big Game Hunter will go from 5 to 10%, which is the one where you get extra damage after you disengage. My problem with that is disengage has a really long cooldown, and even with 2 cards, you can only reduce it by 8 seconds. It's a 12-second cooldown, and with Incitement, you can be rolling every 3 seconds still. So that's going to have more value. You're going to be using it more often. I think actually with a lot of legendary cards, when they're tacked onto a high cooldown ability, it makes them less worthwhile and worth less at a whole for the most part. Now, this is big. What it does is it gives 10% of the max health of the target, so against tanks it's pretty big as extra damage. With the 2 cards, one of the 4 seconds cards, you've got to take level 4 of both of these. One of them relies on the fact that you're going to hit somebody as you knock them into the air, which isn't always going to happen. Things might get in the way, so I don't know how useful it's going to be. The other one, they've changed the Blast Shot legendary card to do 50 extra damage, which again, it's a little bit, but it's not making up from what you're losing in your dodge roll Cassie. The dodge roll Cassie was pretty much the only way to play Cassie before. That's what everybody picked up. Think that Cassie might fall out of favor for a little bit, and then may make her way back in again if she sees a slight buff further down the road. I might be wrong, but I don't think these small touches to the legendary cards is enough. I think her base kit, so extra damage in a shot, maybe extra movement, base, something like that needed to give, or changes to cards to make some more interesting builds and to give more power instead of the incitement. What does everybody else think about Cassie? I think the community is very divided on this one. A lot of people are like, hate Cassie, they hate going against her, especially if you're playing like a Ruckus. You're basically a diving board for her. She'll hit you and dodge roll around you because you're just a big target that can't really move around or put your shield up or anything. Or are you going to miss her dearly, and have you got tears in your eyes? Be sure to let me know in the comment section below. Another kind of movement, sort of realm of nerfs, is to Ash's Battering Ram legendary card. This is a card that gives you the damage reduction during the time that you're sort of spinning up the charge, and now it no longer grants crowd control immunity, so you're going to be stunned, slowed, whatever, whilst you are charging that up. This is a big deal because if you're standing next to a Meltdown, standing next to a Bomb King, or something's going to knock you up or something, it's going to ruin your Battering Ram. And it was a big part of why Ash was really good this last few patches, and I think it's going to harm her quite a bit actually. They also pretty much nerfed the Rally Here cards, so instead of giving 20% extra damage to allies that are near you, it now gives enemies that are hit by your Rally Here, your ultimate, 30% more damage. However, how often are you hitting into enemies on a point? It's probably going to be like one frontliner, maybe a frontliner or a healer that you're going to jump into, rather than your whole team getting a buff. So I do feel that this is a bit more of a nerf. It might give you that chance to duel out with the frontline that's close to you, but once you ulti, people are probably going to scatter from the point anyway, and you're not going to be able to chase them down because you're going to be inside your rally point. It's not easy to hit enemies with your Rally Here that easily, so I don't know about that card. I think that's a bit of a slight nerf, and it wasn't exactly overpowered in the first place. Another kind of movement nerf is to the legendary card on Charlene, Desert Shadow. So instead of getting 3 seconds extra stealth, once you withdraw you get 2 seconds. This was the best legendary card, it did a lot, and that's quite a big deal because you've got less of chance and less size of a window to do the extra damage you get in that legendary card as well. So that's actually a pretty big nerf. And alongside that, which we had a lot faster Charlins this patch, they've changed Run Like the Wind, so movement speed reduced from 10, 20, 30, 40% to 7, 14, 21, 28%. This is a card, Run Like the Wind, so after you have used your withdrawal, then you get extra speed that's been lowered. And I think actually maybe we'll see a lot more cards like this because of the diminishing returns. So this will stack on top of Nimble and things, so it can make you extremely speedy. And that is interesting to try out. I've been trying it out on Onslaught mainly, but you go really fast, even with all the changes. Anyway, on to some more general changes. Bomb King has got a quite strong buff to one of the legendary cards, Demolition. This is the card that blasts off all shields instantly, and the blast radius of the Grumpy Bomb now is increased by an extra 30% on top of destroying all the shields. Which is actually a pretty big deal, because if you're anywhere near the point, anywhere near that Grumpy Bomb, your shield is going to go. And it might make this card a slight more of a pickup. Terminus, the new champion, has had their base health reduced from 4,900 to 4,500. Also, the recharge rate of the power siphon has been reduced by 25%. A bit of a nerf to his shield as well. Alongside Strength of Stone having damage reduction per stack reducing from 1.53, 4.5 to 6% to 1, 2, 3 or 4%. Quite a big nerf. Kind of makes sense as the diminishing returns are in effect. You can stack it with other damage reduction. It makes you really, really tanky. But on top of these nerfs, your range of the Massacre Axe, your main attack, has been increased by 25%. So you're going to be able to get into the action a lot more often. And that's quite a big deal actually, especially with a Nimble charging around as a Terminus. You're going to be able to get into people's faces and do a lot more damage than you could before. Hopefully that'll balance out. Actually, I don't think it's necessarily a bad change, so we'll just see how that one plays out. One up and down balance is to Xin, so the Infernal Blade is getting a buff, so the main attack. So projectile speed for the main attacks, for the first two attacks, not the final big slash, has their projectile speed increased from 240 to 300. It'll basically give you a bit more consistent damage there. However, base Billow's cooldown has been increased from 12 to 15 seconds. That's pretty big, folks. Again, at top level play, they're starting to come in a bit. This might take them out a bit. This is quite a big nerf to the Xin, the Willow, quite a big part of the kit, big part of the synergy, getting in and out, being quite insane, being tanky. One interesting change is to Guillotine, so you now have damage immunity during Spite. So you've kind of got pretty much a guaranteed kill if you Guillotine onto somebody, if you ulti onto somebody. You could still be affected by other things, but it's if you're getting in there with that ultimate, it's the one that does extreme amounts of damage based on percentage of health. You're probably going to get it down. Before, you might be able to shut off a Xin off an enemy. I guess it just makes it so that you can confirm the kill easier. It's almost like a pocket Drogos ultimate in the bag there, but you can't shoot them down like you can shoot down the Drogos as easily. Genos is something that's having a buff, so through time and space, their ultimate has had their pre-fire reduced from 1.5 to 1.2 seconds. This will mean that you might be able to get your ultimate off on somebody. Still going to be quite difficult. I think even in pro games, people are missing. I'm so bad with this ultimate. I'm literally awful. I mean, it means that your enemies have less of a chance to get away, especially if you're firing it onto like a doorway or an area where people have to get up the stairs or dodge out the way into some sort of corridor. You're probably going to get those kills, which is a nice touch. It's a nice touch, I would say, because Genos Ultimate was missing just so much before. Kinessa has also got a buff, making them much more effective at close range. So minimum accuracy is increased from 85 to 90%, so basically your spread will be better. And the accuracy loss per shot is decreased from 4 to 2 seconds. So basically just holding down the trigger button, firing into an enemy's head or relatively close to it is going to do a lot more. And with your mine down, giving the extra damage, it could be a big deal. And I think what they're doing here is trying to bring her in line with Strix, as she's kind of struggling close quarters, as Strix kind of just pushed her out as a slightly more versatile sniper, but this makes her much better in closer quarters. So she'll be able to at least defend herself against flankers and things like that come in for her. I mean, if you're a good shot with Kinessa, you might be able to get those headshots on flankers that come around anyway, so we could see that coming out. That's actually a good buff for her. A nerf to Lex is the legendary card Death Hastens, damage bonus reduced from 30 to 25%. Again, I'm not sure exactly how Lex is performing at every level. I know that Lex is much easier now to just go into somebody's face and spam because the DPS is pretty high. It does make sense that it's probably brought back a bit, but I'm not sure if I'm enjoying playing Lex at the moment, just in the way that's sort of spammier. Mako has also got a nerf in their pluck, so the damage bonus is going from 80 to 70%. Makara has been good for a while, and they keep nerfing down this legendary card. Not only deals damage to the first shot after you grab somebody, and now this damage reduction. It's not huge, so you're going to have the extra you're still going to have quite a bit of extra damage there. Maybe it'll just make you take the other legendaries more. Again, the big thing about Mako is you've got the hook. It just works so well with teamwork. Well, if anybody's noticing you're hooking somebody, you take somebody down. So there we go. Pip's actually received a buff, an interesting buff as well. So during Weightless, you now have all use of all abilities during that ability. Before, you're locked out of doing your fire potion and also your healing potion, but now you can do all that. This is actually interesting because this is kind of a mobility buff in some ways because you're still mobile, but mobile being able to do everything, which actually could buff Pip quite a bit. I don't know whether it's enough to make him be able to heal more often or anything like that. There's still bugs with Pip where it gets caught on collision on maps and things, but it's a nice little touch, and especially for those flanking Pips or a Pip extra on top of another healer, you know, maybe him on his own, it's a big buff. So there we go, nice little buff to our little fox boy. Some general changes worth mentioning are they've changed stealth, the way you see stealth. They've made it more obvious. So champions that have been spotted whilst they're in stealth and you can see them, they've been made more obvious, they're less transparent. And also Illuminate, the first level, has gone from 15 to 20 on the range. Again, not sure where they're going here. I've always thought that invisibility is quite hard to do in games that are first-person shooters. Over MOBAs that are top-down, you can always see the enemies on the map, and you have wards and things to check out where enemies are. Illuminate was kind of working well. You might pick up one on your team if you've got a flanker going against Sky and Strix or something like that. I guess it just buffs up the first level a bit to make it more of a pickup. We'll just have to see how that goes. Sky has been okay, ups and downs, but it's still kind of a niche pickup. All in all, the balancing changes this time around, Some have been good. The movement for me has been a bit confusing. I don't really get it. I don't get why they're so anti-movement, especially vertical movement, but they seem to be really against it. I don't know whether the game needs to move away from balancing for console and PC, and how much it's true. They say they're looking at all skill levels. But anyway, that's the balance. Be sure to let me know what you think about the balance in the comment section below. Anyway, getting into the cosmetics, I called it in one of my spicy speculation videos, but the community artist, I can't pronounce this, it's like Jaroslaw Kargel. I don't know whether that, I don't know which language that is. It's got an interesting accent on the L. They did some chibi art quite a while ago for Paladins, and the devs retweeted it, and everybody was retweeting it and talking about it because it's good. So there's a Torvald chibi, Ash chibi, Sky chibi, Book chibi, and Tyra chibi, and basically it's like a sort of a Japanese anime sort of style of drawing, where basically it means short, to shorten somebody, and they're always a bit more cute as well. They look awesome actually, and this is the first of direct community involvement. I kind of hope that the community skin design was going to be more like this, like they take somebody out of the community and take one of their concepts and put it into the game. Wasn't quite that way, but this is the first step in the right direction. I hope they actually do that. I hope they take some of the concept artists and things like that to do some great skins. There's some awesome skins out there, and bring them into the game as well. So there isn't exactly a full-on, like, big skin this time around. They've just added a new chest, the worldwide chest, which has quite a few Russian and American and another Brazilian skin in it. So it's very limited in its world reach at the moment, but they are, I guess, some big countries right there. So the first one is Red Winter Cap Tyra. It's as it sort of makes out. She looks like she's come out of a James Bond film and might be one of the seductive spies or double agents that turns out to be a triple agent. But we've got that going on here. It looks pretty cool, I guess. So there's a Makoa cannon, the Eevee weapon, Buck shotgun, and the Ying mirror. They look pretty cool. I guess we're going to be able to tell who's Russian when playing the game now, as they'll have all these skins. The other interesting thing is they've got like a Captain America style shield for Fernando, which is basically just the American flag. And when you open up the shield itself, in the sort of the holographic shield that it puts up, the sort of energy shield, there's also an American flag, and it fires fireworks out of the top. So if anything's American, then that's it. That's very stereotypical American right there. There's also like a Brazilian hat for Androxus. The only skin that's going to pair with, well, is a Steam Demon one. I don't know what that ceremonial hat is. Maybe people can let me know in the comment section below as well. And also one for Victor. Just sort of another hat. They've also released a Shatterstar, a legendary weapon VIP chest for Genos. It looks pretty cool. Actually, it sort of synergizes with their default getup. It's like the Shattermore weapon. It's a crystal sort of weapon, crystalline weapon. Looks like just a load of crystals and sort of spinning around each other. It's made of loads of little parts. It looks awesome, and probably one to check out and pick up, actually, if you play a lot of Genos. I did forget to mention, actually, there's a Grog dance now, and it's called the Grok Slide. I mean, what can I say? He's just shooting lightning bolts out of his fingers whilst he slides around. What more could he do to make the orc ladies blush? Or maybe gentlemen, whatever he's into. Anyway, that was pretty much the outline of this patch in OB62. As always, we won't know until the public test server how things are actually going to work out, how buggy things are going to be, and we won't know until live about that. Just let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you happy about the changes? Are you sad about the changes? Is there anything you'd like to see? Be sure to let me know. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more of my content, and I'll see you all next time. Should have my Champion Concepts video out tomorrow. I'm sorry it's been so late, but just things have got in the way. RL style. Anyway, until next time, everybody, Joshino.